For millions of years, our Earth has existed in a delicate and beautiful balance. It has its own rhythms, its own seasons, and its own steady heartbeat. This long-term pattern of weather over many decades and centuries is what we call climate. It is the reliable friend that tells the birds when to migrate, the flowers when to bloom, and the bears when to slumber. This predictable hum has allowed life in all its magnificent forms to flourish across every continent and in every ocean. It is a system so perfectly tuned that it has supported the grand story of life, from the smallest microbe to the great blue whale. We have long taken this stability for granted, assuming it would continue forever. But now, something is different. The familiar rhythm is changing its tune. The Earth is growing warmer. This isn't just a slightly sunnier summer or a milder winter, it is a fundamental shift in the entire planet's operating system. We call this climate change. Imagine our planet wrapped in a thin, invisible blanket of gases. This blanket has always been there, trapping just enough of the sun's heat to keep our world comfortably warm and full of life. It's a natural and essential part of our world. However, this protective layer is now becoming thicker, trapping too much heat and causing the global temperature to rise steadily. This warming is happening at a speed that is truly alarming, a pace unseen in the long history of our planet. Natural cycles of warming and cooling have occurred before, but they unfolded over thousands or even millions of years. This allowed life the precious time it needed to adapt and evolve in response. What we're witnessing today is a rapid fever, a sudden jolt to the system caused in just a couple of centuries. The Earth is struggling to keep up with this abrupt change. The delicate web of life, which depends on the stability of the climate, is being stretched to its breaking point. The consequences of this warming are not some distant threat in a far-off future. They are here with us now, today. We can see it in the world around us if we only choose to look. It is in the melting ice of the polar regions, the rising levels of our oceans, and the increasingly unpredictable and severe weather events that touch every corner of the globe. The planet is sending us a message, a clear and urgent call for our attention. It is a call that we can no longer afford to ignore, for the health of our world and all the wondrous creatures that call it home, including ourselves. So, what is causing this protective blanket around our Earth to become so thick and suffocating? The answer, when we look closely at the evidence, lies overwhelmingly with us, with human activity. Since the time of the Industrial Revolution, we have been burning vast quantities of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas to power our homes, our cities, and our vehicles. This incredible surge of energy has fueled our modern world, but it has come at a great cost. The burning of these fuels releases enormous amounts of gases into the atmosphere, most notably carbon dioxide. This gas is the primary culprit in thickening the Earth's natural blanket. At the same time, we have been clearing the Earth's magnificent forests at a breathtaking rate. These great forests are the lungs of our planet. Through a wondrous process, they breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out the oxygen that we all need to survive. When we cut down trees, we are not only losing this vital service, but we are also often burning the wood, which releases all the carbon stored within the trees straight back into the atmosphere. This act of deforestation delivers a double blow to our planet's climate system, weakening its ability to regulate itself while adding to the very problem it needs to solve. Our farming practices have also contributed significantly to the problem. To feed a growing global population, we have developed agricultural systems that release other powerful greenhouse gases, such as methane and nitrous oxide. Methane is produced by livestock like cattle and from paddy fields where rice is grown. Nitrous oxide comes from the fertilizers we use to enrich the soil. While less abundant than carbon dioxide, these gases are even more potent at trapping heat, adding further layers to the warming blanket that surrounds our world and accelerating the changes we are beginning to witness. It is the sheer scale and speed of these activities that have overwhelmed the planet's natural ability to cope. For millennia, the Earth could absorb and balance the carbon in the atmosphere, but our modern civilization has pumped these gases out so quickly and in such massive volumes that the system is now fundamentally out of balance. We have placed a heavy footprint upon the Earth, and its gentle hum has been disturbed by the noise of our industry and our consumption. The delicate equilibrium that has sustained life for so long is now teetering because of our collective actions. The effects of this rapidly changing climate are no longer subtle. They are visible and tangible, touching the lives of creatures and communities across the globe. One of the most dramatic signs is the transformation of our weather patterns. We are seeing more extreme events more often. Heat waves are becoming hotter and lasting longer, putting immense strain on people and wildlife. In other regions, rainfall is becoming more intense, leading to devastating floods that wash away homes and farms. And yet, in other parts of the world, droughts are becoming more prolonged, turning fertile land into dust and creating immense hardship. This shift has profound consequences for the natural world. Animals that have evolved over eons to live in specific climates are finding themselves in a world they no longer recognize. The polar bear, a magnificent icon of the Arctic, relies on sea ice to hunt for seals. As the ice melts earlier each year and freezes later, the bears have less time to hunt, and their very survival is threatened. In our oceans, the warming water is causing coral reefs, those vibrant underwater cities teeming with life, to bleach and die. This leaves countless marine species without the food and shelter they need to survive. People are not immune to these changes. In fact, human communities are incredibly vulnerable. Rising sea levels, caused by the melting of glaciers and ice sheets, pose a direct threat to the millions of people living in low-lying coastal areas and on small island nations. Places like Bangladesh and the Maldives are facing the real prospect of their land disappearing beneath the waves. Farmers who have relied on predictable seasons for generations are now struggling with failed crops due to drought or flood, leading to food shortages and economic instability for their families and their countries. These are not isolated incidents, but part of a connected global pattern. The wildfires that rage across Australia and California are fueled by hotter, drier conditions. The hurricanes that batter the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico are becoming stronger and more destructive, supercharged by warmer ocean waters. The glaciers in the Himalayas, which provide fresh water for nearly 1 billion people in Asia, are melting at an unprecedented rate, threatening future water supplies. The Earth is speaking to us through these events, showing us in no uncertain terms that the balance has been broken. Faced with such a monumental challenge, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel that one person's actions are too small to make a difference. But that is simply not true. The great changes in human history have always started with the collective will of individuals. The journey to healing our planet begins with each of us. We can start by making conscious choices in our daily lives. We can reduce our energy consumption by turning off lights when we leave a room and choosing energy-efficient appliances. We can choose to walk, cycle, or use public transport instead of driving, reducing the emissions that thicken the atmospheric blanket. Our power also lies in what we choose to consume. By reducing waste, especially food waste, we lessen the strain on the planet's resources and reduce the methane emissions from landfills. We can support businesses and products that are committed to sustainability. Planting a tree may seem like a simple act, but when multiplied by millions of people, it can help restore the great forests that are so vital to the health of our planet. These individual actions, when woven together, create a powerful tapestry of change. They send a clear message to industries and governments that we demand a more sustainable future. Beyond our personal choices, we must encourage our leaders to take bold and decisive action. We need to transition our energy systems away from fossil fuels and towards clean, renewable sources like solar and wind power. This is not a distant dream. The technology exists today. We must invest in protecting and restoring our natural ecosystems, from our forests and wetlands to our oceans and mangroves. These are our greatest allies in the fight against climate change, and protecting them is essential for our own survival and for the countless species with which we share this world. There is still time to change course. Our planet has an extraordinary capacity for recovery, but we must act now. This is a challenge for all of humanity, a shared responsibility that transcends borders and generations. It requires innovation, cooperation, and a fundamental shift in how we view our relationship with the natural world. Let us not be the generation that stood by and watched our beautiful world fade. Instead, let us be the generation that listened to the Earth's urgent call and rose to the challenge with courage, wisdom, and a profound love for the one and only home we have. The future is in our hands.